Entertainment and Sports Network.
It is a beautiful day here at Yankee Stadium, but was it even better? 8th inning last night at the stadium. Eduardo Nunez connects in the 8th for a 2-run double to break a 4-4 tie. A reason for celebration, but you know, with every celebration, you pay the price. And he did, as the Yankees came away with a win. And now tonight, Sabathia will try to lead them to a 3-game sweep. It's time for baseball as Kia presents the Wednesday game of the week. It's the New York Yankees against the Chicago White Sox in the final game of a 3-game set from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees baseball. Along with Ken Singleton, I'm Michael Kay. Well, the Yankees looked sluggish yesterday. They went to the 8th inning. They were down 4-1. Chris Sale was on the mound, and it looked like they were heading for a loss.
It looked like it, Michael, but what do they say? Better late than never. The Yankees got it going in the 8th inning. Alfonso Soriano, the base hit, cut it to 1. A 4-3 ball game, and the Yankees were not finished. Pinch hitting. Curtis Granderson comes up with his first pinch hit of the year. That ties the game. And here's the winner. Eduardo Nunez with a drive into the corner. 2 runs to score. A-Rod, and here comes Granderson. And the Yankees come away with a 6-4 win. Eduardo Nunez, the big hero, the big hit in the 8th inning.
What did it all mean? Let's take a look. Yankees are now 2.5 games behind the Rays for the second AL wild card. Derek Jeter picked up 2 hits. He now has 3,315. He passed Eddie Collins, 9th all-time. Rivera picked up the save, his 40th of the year. Now 9 seasons of 40 or more saves, tied for most ever with Trevor Hoffman. And by the way, the Yankees have held their home court. They've won 12 of their last 14 here at Yankee Stadium. So how do they do tonight? Well, it usually comes down to pitching. When we come back, we will break down the pitching matchup. It's CC against the kid. What does Joe Girardi think CC has to do? We'll find out next. Let's take a look at the New York Lottery pitching matchup. Eric Johnson will make his first big league start. Those are his numbers at AA and AAA this year. CC Sabathia for the Yankees, 12-11, 4.91. Yankee manager Joe Girardi was asked what he has seen of CC of late.
I've seen a lot of good innings. It seems like at times it's one inning that it gets away from him a little bit, but I think his sinker has been better. I think his changeup has been better. His velocity has actually increased a little bit. And I've seen some really good innings out of him, so we're going to continue. We need to see that.
Yankees looking for the sweep, so Sabathia is going to be a big part of that if it happens. Lineups, first pitch, baseball, Yankees, White Sox next, right here on Yes. In an all-new 2014 Mitsubishi Outlander. By New York Yankees Appetizers, these delicious mini bagel hot dogs and pretzel nuggets are available at ShopRite and your local grocer. By Johnny Walker, please drink responsibly. And by the Experience Buick Lease, it's a new lease on luxury. Beautiful night here in New York City. Sabathia has taken his warm-up tosses. And he'll try to deal with the White Sox starting lineup. And here it is. We'll go through it quickly. At the top, De Aza, Beckham, and Ramirez. In the middle, it's Konerko, Garcia, and Keppinger. And the bottom of the order, Viciedo, Fegley, and Semien. So De Aza is ready. CC is ready. And let's do it here in the Bronx. First pitch is up and away, and we are underway.
Here are the numbers on CC Sabathia for the year. His record 12-11, ERA up there at 4.91. You can see more than a hit per inning. League hitting .271 against CC Sabathia. Here is our pitcher scout report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. Winning ugly, CC's won 3 of his last 4 starts, but his ERA is over 6 in those starts, so they've been scoring some runs for him. He's won 8 games here in the Bronx. That's the most for any Yankee pitcher.
Fly ball, left center. Gardner puts it away, 1 down.
And the last point was worn out socks. Now, everybody has worn out socks. But in this case, we're talking about the Chicago White Sox. CC's 18-4 against the Chicago White Sox in his career. So he has worn out socks.
With a 3.63 ERA against Chicago. Want to send out Happy New Year wishes to all of our Jewish viewers. Hope you have a wonderful couple of days enjoying the holiday. Here's Gordon Beckham. And there's a strike. White Sox 56-81. Count 1-1. After this one, a big 4-game set begins tomorrow. Yankees against the Red Sox. Red Sox are playing the Tigers tonight.
Good pitching matchup, too. It's going to be Ivan Nova. The news about him today.
Pitcher of the month in the American League.
Congratulations.
Count 2-2.
That was a changeup. It's going to be Jake Peavy going for the Boston Red Sox, the former Chicago White Sox.
And the 2-2. 3-2.
CC doubled up on the changeup. Now runs the count full. Beckham's had a 2 for 7 in this series. He's hitting 7 of his last 8.
And Beckham works a walk. Why don't we check out the Yankee defense presented by Geico? In the outfield, you've got Granderson, Gardner, and Ichiro, left to right. Infield, it's A-Rod, Jeter, Cano, and Overbay. That's third to first. Austin Romine gets the start behind the plate, and Karsten Charles Sabathia is on the mound. And the pitch to Ramirez is a strike. Yankees won 9-1 first game, 6-4 yesterday. That one has popped up. Overbay with the run and the basket catch for the second half.
And CC got all in on the hands of Ramirez. So much so that he's carrying 2 parts of his bat back to the dugout. Looked like a little cut on that one, and you can see just, as a matter if this one stayed in the air long enough for Overbay to get to it. And you can see the crack in the bat there, and Overbay makes a nice running catch in foul territory. And Rivera is going to have a new piece of lumber next time up.
Here's Konerko. He's the DH tonight. And he lines one down the left field line, but it hooks foul into the seats, and a nice play by, oh, did he drop it? No, it wasn't a good play, but hey, that's a good fan. What a good guy.
Lately, there's been a rash of throwbacks, hasn't there?
Yeah.
Little kids throwing the ball back on the field. He looks old enough to know what's going on.
Count 1-1.
Konerko had a hitting streak against the Yankees broken last night. He hit in 12 straight games against the Yankee pitching. And took an 0 for last night, 0 for 3.
Yankees baseball available in Spanish by hitting the SAP button on your remote. SAP is brought to you by Infinity. Two 1. 3-1. White Sox don't have the lefty swinging Adam Dunn in the lineup. You see Garcia on deck. And there's a ball and another walk. First and second, 2 outs. Check out the game time weather presented by Bigelow Tea. 83 degrees, 49% humidity, not much wind. It's partly cloudy, and the temperatures are going to fall. Not quite fall yet.
It was a beautiful day in the city today. Oh, can't get any better than this.
Here's Abasail Garcia. And a strike.
Got a chance to walk around the city today, and everybody seemed to be in good spirits. It's amazing how the weather brings out the best in people. Holding doors for people. Thank you very much. All that sort of thing.
Oh, I got to find out what neighborhood you're in.
Midtown.
The 0-1. 1-1. Building up a significant first inning pitch count here. Walking 2.
Yeah, he's having issues with control. 2 walks this inning.
Punched out to right field. It's a base hit. It's going to go into the corner. Beckham will score. Konerko is going to stop at third. Garcia with an RBI double, and the White Sox lead 1-0.
Well, the Yankees have done a pretty good job against young Mr. Garcia. Been 1 for 8 in this series. And in Detroit, they like to say he was a mini Miguel Cabrera. And now that he's come over to the White Sox, he's done a very good job. He's been hitting well until this series. But that kind of reminds me of a way that Cabrera would hit. Gets a pitch out over the plate, doesn't try to do too much with it, just slaps it the other way, gets himself an RBI double. And the White Sox are still in business here at the top of the first inning as they break out in front. Ichiro's going to run this one down in the corner.
Here's the pesky Jeff Keppinger. Slowed down by Cece. Jeter fields, fires to first. Got him. Big out. Saved a run. and ends the inning. You score that 1-6-3. Good reflexes by Jeter and a strong throw, and a good stretch by Overbay to get Keppinger for the final out. White Sox won. Yankees coming to bat. Will take their turn. Their starting lineup is presented by Lexus. The center fielder Brett Gardner leads off. The captain, the shortstop Derek Jeter, bats second. Batting third, playing second base, Robinson Cano. The DH tonight is Alfonso Soriano. He'll clean up. In left field is Curtis Granderson batting fifth. Batting sixth, playing third base, Alex Rodriguez. Right fielder is Ichiro Suzuki batting seventh. The number 8 hitter is the first baseman Lyle Overbay. And Austin Romine is behind the plate catching and batting ninth.
On the mound for the Chicago White Sox, this is a major league debut. Eric Johnson, these are minor league numbers at AA and in AAA. You can see he had a very impressive year. 12-3, ERA less than 2, certainly less than a hit per inning, and just 7 home runs allowed. Let's check out the pitcher scouting report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers on young Mr. Johnson. He was All-State in California 3 times. He went from Los Altos High School to Cal Berkeley. Has a very good slider. That's supposed to be his best pitch. And when talking about him, now it certainly puts a lot of pressure on the young man, but they invoked the name Curt Schilling. Not yet, of course, but they think that he might develop into a pitcher like Curt Schilling. Certainly has the same sort of build and size of the former Red Sox star.
So the Yankees down 1-0. CeCe had location issues in the top of the first, and now Brett Gardner's ready. And Eric Johnson deals. There's a strike.
I was told he's not really overpowering, but he is tough on the mound, will not give in. He pitched at Charlotte. The ballpark is a bandbox, and for him to have an ERA down there at 1.96 shows that he left a lot of men on base this year.
Just 23 years old. His last 6 starts down at AAA, 3-1, 1.62. Second round pick for the White Sox in 2011. Now, Kenny, the last White Sox pitcher to make his major league debut with a start at Yankee Stadium. You have to go all the way back to 1933, September 18th, and it was Les T.G., spelled T-I-E-T-J-E. Pitched game 2 of a doubleheader. He went 8 1/3, gave up 3 runs, 7 walks, and he beat Red Ruffing in the Yanks 4-3.
A Hall of Famer.
In the game, Gehrig was 1 for 3 with a home run, and Ruth 0 for 1 with a walk. There's a resume on Eric Johnson. Lined at Beckham, 1 away. Why don't we check out the White Sox defense, which is usually not that great to look at. It's presented by Geico. In the outfield, we've got Viciedo in left, De Aza in center, and Garcia in right. Infield, Semien, Ramirez, Beckham, and Keppinger, third to first. Begley behind the plate. And we talked about Eric Johnson on the mound.
Well, Derek Jeter had come into this series on somewhat of a cold stretch, but he's 4 for 7 in these 2 games against the White Sox.
2 big hits yesterday.
He's the one who got the 8th inning rally started with 1 out, a single to center field against Chris Sale. Then Cano followed with a double. Sale was out of the game. And then the Yankees did the work against the bullpen. And I was talking to Joe Girardi about this around the batting cage prior to the game. Chris Sale was dealing. He's one of the best pitchers in the league. And sometimes when you get a good pitcher like that out of the game, everybody else looks pretty hittable. And the Yankees just continue to get hit after hit.
There are a lot of hits in that inning, and you could say many of them were big. But the one that I look at, Kenny, is the double by Cano.
To get things going.
That knocked Sale out and opened the door to the bullpen and opened the Yankees' chances. But that was also a signature hit because, hey, look, we can hit Sale. Although it was the last pitch he threw, but that's a big time blast.
And you're right, because Sale is really tough on left-handed hitters. I mean, they came in hitting less than 140. That was the only hit he gave up to a left-hander last night. The double by Cano.
Sky over the scoreboard in the outfield, beautiful, kind of like pink and white brush strokes against the blue background. Looks great. It's a great night. Chop toward third. Semien fields and gets Jeter for the second out.
On the run, Marcus Semien. And he too had a big year in the minor leagues this year for the Chicago White Sox.
Conquered 2 levels, AA and AAA. Here's Cano. That one is driven deep to right field. There it goes. See ya. Tie game.
I think one thing young Mr. Johnson's going to learn is that big league hitters don't miss mistakes very often. That was a good breaking ball, but it was in the middle of the play. That was a good pitch, and Cano smokes it. His 26th home run of the year. We've got a tie game.
Soriano takes outside. Here's the swing on Yesmo, brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealer.
Wow, perfect head down, follow through, and he knew.
So for Cano, it's his 26th home run of the year, and it's his 79th home run here at Yankee Stadium. And that ties him with Teixeira for the most home runs at the new Yankee Stadium. And it also ties him with Roger Maris for 14th place on the all-time home run list with the Yankees, 203.
I saw the replay. I looked at that pitch. It wasn't that bad. I mean, it had a lot of bite to it. Hard breaking ball. Cano was just quick enough.
It's almost got to be a rude awakening because you're saying it's a good pitch, and it probably got AA and AAA hitters out all the time.
Maybe not all, but they didn't hit it that hard.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Because anybody that can hit it that hard is up here. So that home run might have scared him off the plate as he walked Soriano. Granderson with a big hit in that 8th inning yesterday.
Granderson's only had 2 pinch hit at bats this year, and that, as Michael said, got a hit. That was his first pinch hit of the season.
And Girardi was asked, why send up Granderson there when you know he's going to face a lefty? He said, because we needed a fly ball, and I knew that he could give us a fly ball.
Well, he's kind of wrong. It was a line drive.
It turned out to be a line drive. There's a strike, 2-1. And the count 3-0 from Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson has not thrown over the first base yet, and Soriano, I don't think he'll be going down with the count at 3-1 on Granderson, because if it goes to 3-2, he'll be going automatically anyway. But I think this first time through the order, the Yankees are, it's almost like the early rounds of a fight. You're feeling each other out, see what you have, and the Yankees are getting a good look at this young man. I'll tell you what, he's big enough. I think he's 6'3", 235. That's about where Schilling was going back in the day, right?
I would think so. Hammered to right field. It's a base hit. It gets past Garcia and it goes to the wall. Soriano will chug into third. It's a double for Granderson. Don Cooper is going to go out and try to settle down the 23-year-old.
Yeah, major league debut. You can understand maybe a few butterflies. Falling behind Granderson 3-1, having to come in with a strike. This is the byproduct of the Yankees getting their lineup back together. I mean, pitchers are going to have to make good pitches, and if they fall behind, the Yankees are going to score some runs. They've had some big innings lately, including last night and the opening game of the series.
Cano started off with that home run.
The Yankees have scored 5 or more runs in an inning only 7 times this season, but they've done so 3 times in the last 5 games. So this is a byproduct of the Yankee lineup getting stronger with the people coming off the disabled list.
Now here's A-Rod batting 6th, and Girardi said nothing to this other than splitting lefties. So he's got him between Granderson and Ichiro. Pitch outside.
And why does he do that? Because it keeps Robin Ventura from bringing in a relief pitcher or having the starting pitcher match up against 2 righties in a row, which might make it a little easier. There's always a trap with the next hitter. You had Ichiro, a left-handed hitter on deck. And later on in the game, if Ventura wants to make a pitching change for 1 hitter, he might only use that pitcher for 1 hitter and then go to another pitcher and burn up his bullpen. So that's why managers lay out their lineups like this. Left, right, left, right. It's like marching.
Two and one.
I was watching A-Rod during batting practice, and he was hitting a lot of balls to the opposite field, trying to wait on the ball, and he hit a few into the right field seats.
Breaking ball, no bite upstairs. 3-1.
Pitch count climbing for Johnson.
And A-Rod walks to load the bases. Well, this must be a little bit of a scary lineup for a kid making his major league debut. Facing guys like Jeter and Cano and A-Rod, and now a guy who has 4,000 hits combined between Japan and the States. A lot of stars that you probably saw growing up, and now they're in the batter's box against you. There's a strike. Great numbers with the bases loaded. Almost a 400 hitter. Ichiro had not started any of the last 3 games, all against lefties. Slapped it the other way, foul.
If Johnson looks at the players on base right now, there's over 1,000 major league home runs on base.
Just on the corners.
Yeah, just on the corners.
He's about to throw his 30th pitch.
He's got well over 1,000 home runs on base and over 4,000 hits at the plate.
The 1-2. He struck him out. So he had to throw a lot of pitches. He gave up the lead, but I think he'll take it. This was the damage against him. Cano's solo home run. Yankees stranded 3. We go to the second, 1-1. Toyota Prius is the official hybrid vehicle of the Yankees. Which of the Yankees competitors in the AL wildcard race has surprised you the most with their success, and why? Here's one of the answers we had. Mike Otto, 15. Definitely the Indians. Starting pitchers have struggled, but it is their offense that is carrying the team. I'd say the Indians and the Royals.
That too. The Indians are winning tonight. 4-0 in the top of the second against Baltimore.
Here's Diane Viciedo. He takes a strike. Follow Yes Network and tweet us your responses using hashtag Yankees Prius to keep the conversation going. Bottom third of the order against CC. That goes flying. Oh.
Yes.
Hit that plexiglass, and seems like everybody is okay.
Here's another look. Boy, that's shattered. Look on Viciato's face. That wasn't supposed to happen. This is his first appearance of the series.
Kennedy, the Yankees had the kid on the ropes. They might rue that missed opportunity in the first inning. And Johnson had to be so relieved, and you could see as he got to the dugout, his teammates happy for him. First big league start, bases loaded against Ichiro. He strikes him out.
Now think about it. When the young kids come up in September, you're not really sure what you're going to get, but some of these kids might turn out to be your future teammates. So you treat them as nicely as you can. You see the big leaguers, the veterans, take them out to dinner.
Rounded to third. One out.
In some instances, we've seen CC. Did you buy Nova a new set of clothes or something? Yeah.
I think when he first came.
Yeah. Bought him a new suit. Hey, Rod, out every day, taking ground balls early. A little double dribble, but still able to make the play as Viciato is thrown out.
Here's Fegley. Count 1-0. One to Fegley.
CC's pitch count got up there a little bit in the first inning. He's going to have a couple of quick innings here. Move things along. Get deep into the ball game.
Now 2-2. Grounded to Jeter. 2 outs.
You know, Michael, as we look out at the left side of the Yankee infield with A-Rod and Jeter, they're moving better than they were the first time around. You can see they're maybe feeling better about themselves as they've each had a play here in the second inning. I mean, Jeter's play to end the first, he was going in one direction, had to change and go back the other direction, then made the throw to first in time.
One and one to Semien, his first big league at bat.
Wow. He was the MVP in the Southern League this year.
Has some power, 19 home runs.
Listen, he hit 284, 32 doubles, 6 triples, 19 homers, 66 runs batted in, 110 runs scored, 24 stolen bases. and a partridge in a pear tree. He did everything.
CC's velocity his last couple times out 93, 94, but not tonight. He's about 90 and 91 at times. The 2-2. Blooped into right field. That's going to dunk in for a base hit. So Semien with his first big league hit. And they'll get that baseball for him.
Been dreaming about that, and not only did he get a hit, he got it off a brand name, CC Sabathia. And that's something he can talk about for the rest of his life. He has grandkids, all that sort of thing. Selected in the 6th round. Young man from San Francisco, born in San Francisco, now lives in El Cerrito, California. And he bloops one in front of Ichiro in right field.
De Aza fouls it away.
Did you read the note on De Aza tonight about he and Cano, the one that they're the only 2 batters that haven't had more than an 0 for 10 this year?
I did see that.
Yeah, that's impressive. No, there's 2. There's 3 actually. The other is well, you would figure Miguel Cabrera. He's in there. That is consistency.
One and two. De Aza, 15 home runs, most by a White Sox leadoff hitter since Ray Durham had 16 in 2001. Swing and a miss. And De Aza down on strikes. No runs are hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We're going to the bottom of the 2nd. It's a 1-1 game on yes. Yankees welcome the Red Sox for a big 4-game series here at the stadium. Coverage will start at 6 without a batting practice today in the Tri-State 4-3 game. It's only on yes. Yankees have 7 games remaining against the Red Sox. And wouldn't you say, Kenny, that it's safe to say that camera's too big for that kid. And secondly, that if the Yankees have any aspirations to catch the Red Sox for first place, I don't think they can lose a game in these 4.
No.
But I don't know if that's their aim right now. They just want to get into the playoffs. Obviously, they'd like to catch them, but that's going to be a very, very difficult thing to do. Red Sox have built a 8.5 game lead over the Yankees.
Yeah, first of all, they've got their pitching going pretty well right now, and Koji Uehara is doing a great job closing. He's moved into that role and hasn't given up very much.
Although we always say this, Kenny, there's just a 7-game differential in the loss column. So technically, you can control it. You win all 7 games against them. Now there are teams between them. Just one, Tampa Bay. That's the American League East right now. Count 1 and 2 to Overbay. Rays did win last night. They're having a very bad West Coast trip, so they're 3 in front of the Yankees in the wild card.
And Matt Moore came off the disabled list and picked up a victory.
Overbay with a chopper. Nice move by Beckham to his right. Makes the play for the first out. Now Oakland beat Texas 11-4 this afternoon. And Texas, this is a really amazing stat because of how good the pitcher is. Texas as a team is 6-12 in Yu Darvish's last 18 starts. That's Yu Darvish. So there are the wild card standings. Texas and Oakland are now tied in the West. The Rays are the second wild card, and then the Yankees. And a strike.
They don't seem to be scoring when Darvish pitches. And that's.
Sounds like a broken back ground ball to Keppinger. And he flips to Johnson for the second out. So the young right-hander got the first 2 in the first inning. Now he gets the first 2 here in the second. And back to Gardner. There's a comfort zone there. Those two played together in the minors. And a strike to Brett. Boston has jumped ahead of Detroit 2-0. That's in the top of the third at Fenway. And Kenny told you earlier, Indians 4, Orioles 0, top of the third in Cleveland. Tampa Bay and the Angels, 10:05 start. Seattle and KC, 8 o'clock start. That's in KC. Two and two.
Fastball consistently around 93, 94. Does have sharp break on his breaking ball. This young man could be in their rotation. Remember, they are stocked with left-handers.
For a guy who doesn't throw hard, that was 95 miles an hour. Might be a little pumped. Rounded up the middle and past to diving Ramirez into center for a base hit.
I think we're going to see how well young Mr. Johnson holds runners on here. With 2 outs, Gardner might be thinking about getting himself into scoring position. Here's Ramirez, and just out of his reach. Great feeling for a hitter. See those infielders reach, and they just can't quite get it.
Here's Jeter. He grounded out to third. That was in the first. Fegley picks that one. Yes. Count 1-0.
That was a nice play by Fegley. I mean, he caught that cleanly. And you know, with Gardner's speed, any little ball doesn't have to get away that far for him to advance.
Count 2-0 to Jeter.
Fegley has thrown out 24% of the runners that have attempted to steal. It's a little underneath the average.
Ground ball to second. Booted by Beckham. Regains and gets Jeter for the final out. No runs hit and one man left. Let's go to the third. It's 1-1. The Red Sox starting tomorrow night. Let's take a look at the probables. Peavy against Nova. That's tomorrow. Friday night, Dubron against Pettit. Saturday, it's Lackey against Huff. That's right, no Phil Hughes. And then Sunday, Lester against Kuroda. Top of the third inning. And a pitch to Beckham is a strike. Let's bring in our very own Meredith Morakovitz. And after an exciting 6-4 victory yesterday, Joe Girardi kind of just drops it into the post-game press conference that Phil Hughes was not going to be making a start Saturday.
And, Michael, it was interesting because after the original start, he had said, look, Phil Hughes is in our rotation. We don't foresee that changing right now. We certainly will evaluate things, but as of now, he will be our guy. And he kind of just dropped that nugget out there. And Phil Hughes addressed the media for the first time since being sent to the pen earlier today and said, look, I'm surprised, but not exactly blindsided, disappointed, of course, but understand the decision. And now for Phil Hughes is just kind of trying to figure out where he'll fit in that bullpen. If you look at the right-handers they have, and the back end of that bullpen has been without a doubt a strength. So to think that Phil Hughes would kind of jump Preston Claiborne, Sean Kelly, or David Robertson in that pecking order in the pen seems a little bit far-fetched. Now, he did have some success in 2009, but you don't know with the amount of inconsistency that he's had this year whether or not he's going to be able to regain that out of the bullpen. So as of now, Joe Girardi saying, look, it'll take it day by day, depending on the situations. We'll see where we can get Phil Hughes in there.
All right, here in the top of the third, Lincoln scoreboard is 1-1, and Meredith against the Red Sox. Phil has a 10.38 ERA. this year. Huff 2-0 with a 1.13. Now tomorrow's starter, Ivan Nova, got some good news today. I mean, you can't have a better August than he had.
He really did have a tremendous August. He is the AL Pitcher of the Month. He went 4-0 with a 2.08 ERA, compiled 31 strikeouts over that span. And I asked Ivan Nova, what was it like when you heard that news? Considering all the adversity he really had to deal with this season. He had that injury, then he was sent to the minors, eventually made his way back up here, and really had a ton of success since being recalled from the AAA team. And he said, I didn't believe it at first. He came in and a couple members of the Yankees staff had said to him, hey, have you heard your AL Pitcher of the Month? And he said, I thought they were playing a joke on me. I didn't believe it at all. It wasn't until the media came over to my locker that I thought, all right, maybe there's something here. But he was just smiling from ear to ear, saying it is nice to be rewarded for the hard work that I put in. And I said, obviously your stuff is playing a little bit better as of now, that curveball and that fastball, but is there any other difference in your game? And he said, right now I'm just pitching with so much confidence on the mound, and I'm having a tremendous amount of fun doing so. He credited his time down in Tampa. He said he was struggling to throw that curveball for strikes, and he kept throwing it, and now he feels comfortable that he can throw it at any count for a strike, and that certainly helped him out a lot, not to mention he can locate that fastball. So he's been a big part of the Yankees' success over the month of August.
Well, he certainly has, and with the struggles of Kuroda of late and the way CeCe has pitched all year, you could make the argument that the Yankees could pick one pitcher to pitch one game that they had to have. It might be Nova who would get the nod the way he's pitched. Here's the 3-1. Pitches up and away. And Konerko works a walk for the second time. Meredith, did you get a chance to talk to David Huff? He's probably pumped up.
He is. He's very much looking forward to that opportunity, Michael. And if you look at him since he's been recalled, he's been fantastic. 5 appearances, 15 innings pitched during that span, allowed just 1 earned run on 6 hits, struck out 10 in the process. Opposing teams hitting just 125 against him, has an ERA under 1. And he was asked, what has been the biggest difference since coming back from the minors? And he said, prior to going down, he was claimed on the 25th by the Yankees after he was DFA'd by the Indians, and he appeared in that one game, and Larry Rothschild kind of broke things down for him, as you see CeCe Sabathia getting the final put out of the inning, Michael.
All right, Meredith, we will hear from you a little bit later on the postgame show with Bob and Jack. So the Yankees set up pitching-wise for the Red Sox series, but they need to win this one first. 1-1 as we go to the bottom of the third. By Frost Brewed Coors Light. Last 14 games here in the Bronx, Yankees dominating 12-2, averaging 6 runs a game, hitting almost 300 as a team, 17 home runs in 14 games, and pitching's important, 3.57 ERA. And Meredith wanted to tell us that one thing that Larry Rothschild saw with Huff, since we're talking about pitching, is that his arm slot was too high. Sometimes pitchers drop their arm slot, they want him to go more up top, but Huff, he brought down just a little bit and the ball moves more.
Yeah, you're right. You get a little more sink to it.
Lincoln scoreboard 1-1, bottom of the third. That'll bring up Cano, connected for a home run against the youngster Eric Johnson in the first inning.
You know, Meredith mentioned that Ivan Nova, pitcher of the month. Congratulations to Ivan for an excellent month of August. Now, years ago, they used to give you a portrait, which I thought was pretty cool. And I don't know if they still do that. It's a picture, and then they have a portrait painter draw a portrait of you from the picture. I'd show you mine, but it doesn't look like me anymore.
Well, Nova got it in the American League, and Zach Greinke, 5-0, 1.23. He received it in the National League. You still have yours hung up?
Yeah, it's in my office at home. I'll take a picture. I'll bring it when we get to Baltimore. I'll show it to you.
All right. Let's see if they turn Cano loose on 3-0. Taking 3-1. 50 pitches for Eric Johnson.
If you're Johnson, you figure if I'm going to give up my first major league home run, it's going to be to a brand name player.
That one is driven out into left center field. Viciedo is there. He'll put it away for the first out. So one down. MLB.com at Bat is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Yankees baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at Bat to 31826 or visit Yankees.com for details. Here is Soriano. That one is driven into right center field. Coming on to make the play is Garcia to take a base hit away from Soriano. 2 down.
Well, we've seen Garcia in center. Now we see him in right tonight. And the feeling is that he's going to be a pretty good outfielder. Every once in a while he takes, maybe not the proper routes to the baseball, but he got there this time. Gets that glove out, turns it around, ball right in the middle of the pocket, and they're at 2 down. Nice running catch.
Now here's Granderson, doubled in the first, and there's a strike. Well, we checked out the time that you won the American League Player of the Month, Kenny. They were picture-perfect, portrait-worthy numbers. April 1981, 15 games, 472. Batting average, 517 on base percentage, 7 homers and 14 ribbies.
It's a good month.
981 slugging percentage.
It's a good month. Too bad there was a strike that year. It just kind of blew everything out of the water. And the thing about it, you could see it coming.
Hammered foul.
In fact, they had to break the season into 2 halves, and the winning team in the first half qualified for the playoffs. And I think it was Oakland and the Yankees qualified in the first half, and the Angels and the Brewers.
High fly ball, deep left center. Viciedo back. They'll make the play on the track for the final out of the third. Yankees go down in order against the rookie, and we go to the 4th inning. It's 1-1. 6 NY quits for free help today. Who caught Jim Abbott's no-hitter on this date, 1993? 20 years ago. And I believe Yankeeography Moments of Glory after the postgame show is about Abbott's no-hitter today.
Great timing.
Keppinger takes high. And a strike.
Yeah, Keppinger's stand somewhat unusual. You can see how wide open he is, but he's made a pretty good living hitting against left-handed pitching up until this year. He's not hitting lefties as well as he has in the past. Very versatile. Play first, second, third base.
And the 2-2. Jeter charges and throws high and over the head of Overbay. Took a bad hop right at the last moment. We'll see if they score that. It's got to be an error because moving to second base could be a base hit and an E6.
It's a straight E6. And watch it. Final hop that Michael was taking up into the heel of the glove, but throwing on the run. This time airmails Lyle Overbay, and Keppinger will be down at second base. So Jeter with his second error of the season. Not much chance for Overbay on that one.
Runner at second. Here's Viciedo. Chases a high fastball. 0-1.
We talked about the power outage for the White Sox in the opening game of the series. They hadn't hit as many home runs as they hit last year. Viciedo falls into that category. He hit 25 home runs a year ago. This year he's got 11.
Line the other way. Foul ball.
Nicknamed the Tank.
The ball got loose in right field. They give it to Carmelo Anthony.
Just chilling.
The 0-2. 1-2.
When did training camp open up for the NBA?
I think another month.
Another month?
Yeah. A lot of action in the park across the street.
Oh. Standing room only over there. How many different sports are going on there?
The 1-2.
I will tell you that. You see that shot, Michael? Years ago, I mean, when the old stadium was there, you didn't have that much activity. You had baseball diamonds. You had a track, but it wasn't in good shape. But they have really built up the area around the stadium. I mean, just all kinds of activities. You got lights for people to participate after dark. I mean, it keeps a lot of youngsters off the street and busy. I mean, that's great. I like to see that.
2-2. nubbed in front of the plate. Romine has a runner, holds at second. Playing some softball out there, I think.
There were no lights back in the day, I'll tell you that.
Now that is the site of the old stadium. That's actually the field.
Yeah. Now over here was where the track and all the other activities were. So they've kind of switched places.
And if you go a little farther away and alongside the Deegan, have all these beautiful tennis courts as well.
Yep.
They did a good job.
Yeah, they did.
Fegley lines one to left field, and Granderson makes the play for the second out. Well, we told you about it later tonight. Yes presents the next chapter of the Emmy-winning series Yankeeography with Moments of Glory. And on tonight's episode, get the inside story of Jim Abbott's dramatic 1993 no-hitter. It's a new Chevy presents Yankeeography Moments of Glory tonight after the postgame only on Yes.
That's where it took place.
And he no-hit an Indians lineup that included Kenny Lofton, Carlos Baerga, Albert Bell, Jim Tomei, Manny Ramirez. For Manny, it was his third major league game.
Those are some real hitters.
And also on this date, 70 years before Abbott's no-hitter, Sad Sam Jones pitched the Yankees' second no-hitter, a no-hitter at Philadelphia.
Sad Sam must have been happy after that.
Yes.
Because I heard it was the first time he'd ever smiled.
Although he wasn't elated because it was only one of two major league no-hitters to be pitched without a strikeout.
Wow.
The other one was Kenny Holtzman in 1969.
"27 line drive outs."
The O-shoe. Take it how you can get it.
You're right, though. When you think of no-hitters, you think of somebody just blowing people away.
Swing and a miss. And CeCe picks up Jeter and the throwing error. No runs, no hits. One error and one man left. We're going to the bottom of the fourth. It's 1-1. Yes. Quit line quiz. Who caught Jim Abbott's no-hitter on this date in 1993? She's anxiously awaiting the answer. Matt Noakes.
visual proof. There's Carlos Baerga. Ground ball to short. Velarde to Mattingly. And there's your no-hitter.
Abbott had faced the Indians his previous time that he pitched in Cleveland and just got rocked, knocked out of the game early, and Buck Showalter almost took him out of the rotation, but gave him that start, and he ended up pitching a no-hitter. Count 1-0 on A-Rod to start the bottom of the fourth. Ground ball up the middle, of base hit.
That's Alex's third hit of the series. He's 3 for 7. Get things started here in the fourth inning. Looking across the diamond at third base coach Robbie Thompson, see if anything's on. By the way, that was the Yankees have 4 hits. That was the first hit by a right-handed hitter. And the reason why I say that, because Johnson in the minor leagues this year held right-handed batters to a 190 batting average.
You know, one more note on the Abbott no-hitter, which really was a special no-hitter because of the man who pitched it and everything that he went through to get to the big leagues. Jack Curry, who's back in the studio, exchanged texts with Abbott today, and Abbott said he couldn't believe it. It's been 20 years. Also got a message from Wade Boggs, who was the third baseman that day. But Jim said the best messages he gets are from kids who saw him that day and were inspired to play baseball.
That's fantastic.
We had Jim on center stage. He's a special guy. Good man. So that's the Moments of Glory Yankeeography after the postgame tonight. 1-2 count on Ichiro. Bases loaded in the first inning. Ichiro struck out. That one he skies the other way and makes the seats.
You know, one reason why Ichiro, he has great speed. He gets a lot of infield hits. But for the outfielders, it's difficult. He hits the ball everywhere. So they have to spread out. I mean, the gaps are wide. He can slash the ball down the left field corner, hit it to the right field corner.
Broken back, ground ball back to the mound. And it was not handled by Keppinger. Everybody say that's one of the few times you'll see Ichiro not run hard to first base, and he almost cost himself, but the ball could not be handled by Keppinger.
Oh, here it is. Broken bat. And for some reason, he didn't zip it over the first. Here's the throw. Not handled. And the Yankees have 2 men on and nobody out.
You know, watching the replay, it looked like he ran a little harder than I thought, but at the end he kind of broke it down.
I think he assumed that the throw was going to be there and beat him. Who they say got the arrow there? E1, as it should have been.
Count 1-0 to Overbay. 1-1 game. We're in the bottom of the fourth inning. Well, those are the kind of mistakes that end up biting the White Sox
all season long. White Sox have the worst road record in the American League, 24-47.
And they're 3-13 on the road against lefty starters. (2-0). 3-0.
It has not been a good year of baseball in Chicago, whether you're on the south side or the north side. Both teams in last place.
Turned him loose on 3-0, and he hammers it to right field. It'll go to the wall. A-Rod scores. Ichiro goes to third. It's an RBI double for Overbay, and the Yankees lead 2-1.
Well, we don't know how this game is going to turn out, but Overbay has put the Yankees in the lead. And one thing to remember about that, if they don't give the lead up, Overbay leads the Yankees in game-winning runs batted in this year. This would be his 12th. If the Yankees can maintain the lead from this point on to the ball game. A-Rod's going to score easily. Ichiro will get to third. Robbie Thompson's going to hold them up there. And the Yankees have second and third and nobody out.
Here's Romine in at the corners. 0-1.
I was talking to Kevin Long before the game about Austin Romine and how he has improved his hitting. I mean, he's just under 333 in his last 22 games. And Kevin said nothing special. He just comes out every single day. But one thing he has done, he's hit the ball better to right center field. And by doing so, he's not too quick, doesn't pull off pitches too often, and gets better extension across the plate. Right now he's in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes.
One and two. Two and two.
You know, one thing with the White Sox struggling at this point, they're into the last month of the season. It gives Robin Ventura and his staff and the Chicago White Sox front office a chance to see a pitcher like Johnson at the big league level. Give him some reps and some innings against big league hitters.
Johnson gets another try. This time he throws it hard to first. Holding at third is Ichiro. So Romine's out for the first out.
Also players like Semien and Garcia gives them a chance to get some at bats.
Gardner a good bunter. Ichiro with great speed at third. In at the corners. Count 1-0.
Take a look at the scouting report on Brett Gardner. He's got 47 extra base hits. That's a career high for him. His best previously had been 34. Leads the Yankees in runs scored. And he's also hit .342 against the White Sox in his career. He's 1 for 2 tonight. That was prior to the game, so that's gone up a bit.
Now the count 2-0. First base open. Jeter on deck.
Should also toss in that in these situations, he's hit .325 this year. Runners in scoring position. He's been very effective at a leadoff spot for the Yankees this season.
That'll get a run in. Maybe more. Let's say more. It goes all the way to the wall. 2-run score. Gardner with a 2-run triple, and the Yankees lead 4-1.
You're going to have to change that graphic. It's now 48 extra base hits. And with that triple, it's his 9th of the year. That's a career high in triples. And one of the problems for outfielders that they move up, get a little cheap on Gardner, and when he hits one in the gap and nobody can run it down, it's gonna be a 3-base hit because of his speed. Ichiro, over base score easily. The speedy Gardner into the 3rd with his career high 9th triple of the season. Here's the speed. We have not doctored this. Right here, he's thinking 3. And he has it easily.
So Don Cooper comes out and talks with Johnson. Yankees with a 3 spot here in the 4th. It's 4-1. White Sox bring the infield in for Jeter with Gardner at 3rd. Another opportunity for a safety or suicide squeeze. Good combination. Pitch inside. Count 2-0.
So Robbie Thompson hold his hands together. That means Jeter, you're swinging. Don't worry about any signs here.
Grounded to 3rd, chasing Gardner back. They get Jeter for the 2nd out.
Semien, the 3rd baseman, there's the dash at 3rd, and he knew he had plenty of time across the diamond to get Jeter out for the 2nd out. But you want to hold that runner. You feint, and then you throw.
And so the infield will back up now with 2 outs. And that brings up Cano. Off the glove of Johnson. And the throw pulls Keppinger off the bag. Gardner scores. It's 5-1 Yanks. And they're going to give Cano a base hit.
Base hit, run batted in. Cano now with 91 ribbies, 9 away from the promised land. As you can see, Semien throwing, and in his haste, it's a wide throw. Keppinger has to leave the bag. Cano gets himself a base hit, his 2nd run batted in of the night. There's Keppinger straying from the bag just to haul in the throw. And the Yankees pick up a run with 2 outs here.
Here's Soriano, the 8th batter to come to the plate. Way out in front of an off-speed pitch.
You know, Michael, we've seen several multiple run innings for the Yankees of late. David Percy, a left-hander up in the bullpen. We've seen him earlier this series. But this is a type of offense that was almost non-existent early in the year.
It's a longer lineup, so more people can do damage.
Well, pitchers have to work harder just to navigate the lineup.
I mean, in the middle of the season, 6 through 9. was not too good. Now we keep saying the difference. Well, look at tonight's lineup. Overbay's batting 8th.
Etro 7th, and they're the ones who started this inning off.
And for a lot of this year, in the middle of the season, Overbay was batting cleanup. So now he's batting second cleanup.
Gardner with 2 hits, 2 runs batted in, and a run scored tonight. Another good night.
High fly ball. Right center. De Aza puts it away, and that will do it. But not before the Yankees break the 1-1 tie with 4 runs here in the 4th inning. We go to the 5th. It's 5-1 Bombers. Medical Center, Inspired Medicine. Miguel Cabrera not in the lineup tonight with that abdomen problem. Ellsbury back in tonight's lineup despite a sore thumb. And Bautista, this is tough, shut down for the rest of the season with a hip problem. So that's 2 straight years that he didn't finish the year.
Yeah. And the Tigers, of course, are hoping that Miguel Cabrera is okay.
Kia scoreboard 5-1, Yankees lead.
Definitely going to hurt his chance at a second Triple Crown if he misses much time.
He's got to catch Chris Davis in the home run category. There's a strike, so Sabathia has a 5-1 lead. And very unlike him, he has surrendered 11 leads this year. So he wants to hold this one and complete a 3-game sweep. Line drive. Oh, what a play by Cano. Throws to first to get De Aza. Very smooth, and he makes it almost seem effortless.
It's just a thing of beauty. Flashing the leather, using the wood, doing it all. Backhand, spins, throws, and gets his man. Robbie Cano. Makes it look easy.
thought you were about to channel Sterling and say, don't you know? Here's Beckham. And there's a strike. Beckham walked in the first and scored, and then had a fly ball to center. Line drive into right center for a base hit. All right, we go back to Bob Lorenz and another studio update. Bob? Did you hear the argument that Jim Leyland got in with some of the writers? Some of the writers are trying to disparage the year that Max Scherzer has had because he's had a tremendous amount of run support.
Oh, okay.
So the sabermetricians like to say, wins don't really mean that much, and a lot of the writers saying if John Lackey had the run support of Max Scherzer, he'd have more wins, and if Scherzer had Lackey's run support, he wouldn't be having the same year as Lackey. And Leland said, I don't want to hear any of that. He said, I don't even want to discuss it. He goes, I want my guys to win. There's a certain way to win games. And kind of took everybody on with that. I know a lot in the sabermetrician community who do not appreciate that. So Cano starts a 4-4-3 double play. In the fifth, nobody left on base. We are halfway through. Yankees 5-1 over the White Sox. Brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealer. All of this is going to add up into Yankees 5 and the White Sox 1. Nice play there by Cano. And then he flips it to Overbay. All right, we go to the bottom of the fifth.
And live from New York, it's Wednesday night.
Granderson, the only Yankee who did not come to the plate in the fourth inning, takes a strike. The key to scoreboard, 5-1. The Yankees over the Sox. Oh, 0-2. Hammered to first, grabbed there by Keppinger. One away.
Granderson's hit the ball hard 3 times, including the last fly out to deep left center field. And I think that's a good sign. It doesn't play well here at Yankee Stadium, but where the Yankees, when they go on the road next to Baltimore, it might play well in Baltimore to hit a long drive to left center field.
This copyrighted telecast, presented by authority of the New York Yankees, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. A-Rod started off the Yankees 4-run fourth with a single to center. Also scored a run. He's 1 for 1 with a walk. And tips that one into the glove of Fegley, 0-1.
Yeah, I mentioned that Alex had a very good batting practice session today. That doesn't always translate into the game, but sometimes it's a good indicator the hitter is right on everything.
Count 1-1. High fly ball, left center. De Aza back, still back on the track. He makes the play right near the wall for the second out.
Well, he's right on that one for about 400 plus feet. But De Aza, because it had so much airtime, was able to run underneath it. Slided just far enough away that he had to reach for it. Still got good wood. De Aza checking his bearings, reaches out, and it's performance in action. He makes the play.
Here's Ichiro. Hey, tonight Trenton Thunder starts a best-of-5 series against the Binghamton Nets in the Eastern League playoffs. And the score is tied 3-3 in the 5th inning. Tyler Austin, one of the Yankees' better prospects, a 2-run double off Noah Syndergaard, one of the Mets' better prospects. So we'll keep you updated on that. Keppinger makes the play on Ichiro. Yankees go down in order. We go to the 6th. 5-1 Yanks. As the Yankees welcome the Red Sox for a big 4-game series right here at the stadium. Coverage starts at 6 with Audi batting practice today. And the Tri-State 4 pregame, and it's only on yes. First pitch should be right around 7:07. It's going to be Jake Peavy against Ivan Nova, the pitcher of the month of August. 5-1 Yankees lead. CeCe still on the mound. And Paul Konerko takes outside. We told you the White Sox were in it until the last week last year, and now they're in last place. There's a 116-point decrease in winning percentage from last season to this season. There's actually a team with a bigger drop in Major League Baseball, and that's the defending champion San Francisco Giants. They've dropped 138 points. And that would be the second worst defending champ ever. But I would say Kenny would be the worst, because the other one is the 1998 Marlins, who went from world champions to 54-108, but they dismantled the team.
Yeah, they got rid of everybody.
The Giants didn't. They went from first to worst.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this before. When the Marlins were having their parade, guys were getting traded.
Yeah, amazing. Now, the last time the White Sox finished last was back in 1989. But the last time the White Sox and the Cubs finished last in the same season, you have to go back to 1948. Grounded foul.
And just 3 years earlier, the Cubs were in the World Series. They lost to the Detroit Tigers. And the last time the Cubs won the World Series, 1908.
Ground ball at Jeter. And there are Yankee fans that are angry they haven't had one since 2009. Well, Time Warner Cable customers, you won't have to miss a game again now that you can watch live Yes Network Yankee games on your PCs or laptops with Time Warner Cable. So get a full season of live Yankee games on the go for just $29.99. And if you're a Time Warner Cable customer, well, go to YesNetwork.com to get more information and subscribe now. Abisail Garcia, count 2-0. And he's driven in the White Sox run, a double to right in the first inning, scoring Beckham.
You get the feeling that the White Sox have picked themselves up somebody's going to be a very good ball player.
One of those trades that seems like it's helping all three teams. And Garcia works a walk.
Now that's CeCe's first walk since the third inning, but it's his fourth of the game. And you can see Romine out there trying to steady the ship.
And Keppinger takes a breaking ball strike.
Well, CeCe's gotten Keppinger to hit the ball on the ground twice this game. Take one more. Take that ground to the short if he can get it.
Now, if you look around Yankee Stadium tonight, the flags are at half mast, and that is to honor the memory of Michael Olis, 24 years old, from Staten Island, killed by Afghan rebels last Wednesday. Funeral was today. And flags around the state are flying at half mast. Fly ball at Ichiro to put it away. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family. So there are two now. And that'll bring up Viciedo. popped up. The captain puts it away for the final out of the 6th. No runs, no hits. 1 man left. Go to the bottom of the 6th. 5-1 Yanks. On Tuesday, September 24th, for one of the hottest collectibles of the season, and you can complete your 2013 Player Bobblehead Series. It's Mariano Rivera Bobblehead Night, the 4th in the collectible series presented by AT&T. For tickets, log on to Yankees.com, visit the stadium ticket window, Yankees clubhouse shops, or you can call Ticketmaster at 877-469-9849.
I like the way that bobblehead is featured. Mo coming in from the bullpen with a little bit of a smile. Look at that. That's
nice.
Pretty cool. It's like he knows something coming out of the pen.
Kenny, you know the Met announcers on SMY, they all got bobbleheads, like the 3 of them in one bobblehead.
Really?
Right. If we did it, yes, it would be like the Supreme Court.
Be like the Nets roster. Oh, my goodness.
There's the 2-1. Foul boy. Overbay got the double in the 4th inning, broke the 1-1 tie. As Kenny said, it could be his 12th game-winning RBI, which is really not an acknowledged stat anymore, but it's kept.
They took that stat away. It used to be official.
Now, if they gave a stat, Kenny, game-winning RBI after the 7th inning, I think that would have more heft to it.
I certainly do, but you could come up in the 1st inning and drive in a run that holds up.
Yep. And Overbay works a walk.
They are starting to move around in the White Sox bullpen. Young Mr. Johnson is approaching 100 pitches. It's Don Cooper checking on the progress out there as a left-hander up. Major league debut. That's David Percy once again, the lefty.
Got Gardner on deck, so you might see him for Gardner. And here is Romine. Fouled the bat.
Looking at what young Mr. Johnson has done tonight, he's picked up 1 strikeout. You want to pick up a strikeout in your major league. He can tell everybody I struck out each of them.
With the bases loaded.
With the bases loaded.
100 pitches, 31 in the first and 28 in the fourth. Tipped into the glove of Fegley, count 0-2. Popped up. Long run for Keppinger. And it falls untouched. Keppinger couldn't get there, or Beckham or Garcia.
There it is. The trifecta of White Sox fielders could not get to it. Becomes a souvenir. Overbay knows that feeling. He's a first baseman. That is not an easy play.
Fly ball shallow right center. De Aza puts it away. One down. Now, Kenny, if the White Sox were playing for something, I think the move here is to take the kid out and bring in the left-hander. But I think they're trying to find things out about a young pitcher.
Well, first of all, the young guy has to learn how to navigate his way through a ball game. The first inning, he used way too many pitches, struggled somewhat. You figure he's nervous. But so far, I like what he throws. He's got a decent fastball. He's been up to 95.
There's one. And they have Overbay in a rundown. And he is tagged by the shortstop, Alexi Ramirez, for the final out of the inning. So a 3-6 double play. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on base. Keppinger with the throw. And then Overbay said, I'll try to get fancy, but no.
Morning, don't miss the season premiere of Mike Francesa's Football Sunday. Get set for week 1 of the NFL season with injury reports, game-by-game breakdowns, and analysis of the hottest league stories. It's a season premiere of Mike Francesa's Football Sunday, Sunday morning at 9, right here on Yes.
Well, that looks like it'll do it for the 23-year-old Eric Johnson. First big league start. One bad inning. He showed something there. Talking with Don Cooper. And Josh Begley grounds one foul to start the 7th inning.
Were you impressed with his stuff?
I liked him.
Yeah, me too.
Especially I saw that 95 on one pitch.
95, and he had a good breaking ball. And I'll tell you what, in the first inning when Cano hit that home run, there's a lot of big league hitters wouldn't have hit that pitch out. But Robbie Cano, as we all know, is a very special player.
And he didn't let it get away from him in the first inning. Loaded the bases, but he did get out of it without allowing another run. And now school is in session.
He's got a very good pitching coach there in Don Cooper. Here's the Cadillac scoreboard.
High fly ball, left field. Granderson makes the play. Now, what do you think of CeCe?
I think he's done a very good job. I mean, he's only had one bad inning. That was kind of the first when he gave up the run. Hasn't really been a big strikeout night, only 2, but he's gotten some good defensive help. And he's got a 5-1 lead.
Here's Marcus Semien. First big league hit. Bloop single to right center in the 2nd. Struck out in the 4th. Fouled away. Kevin Youkilis has been with the Yankees this homestand. Played for the White Sox last year. Back surgery this season. A disappointing year for him in pinstripes. He still hopes that he can play by the end of the year. Jason Nix is out for the year as well. Broke his left hand, a knuckleball from R.A. Dickey as Semien swings and misses.
Semien got a base hit his first time up, and then CeCe's taken him to school the next 2 times. Struck him out on changeups both times, down and away. It's hard to reach that pitch.
Here's Alejandro De Aza.
That's a cool name.
Breaking ball strike. Getting tighter in Cleveland. It's now 5-4 Indians, bottom of the 5th, as the Orioles trying to get back in that. Seattle has a 2-0 lead over Kansas City, top of the 4th. Boston 5-4 over Detroit. That's in the top of the 6th at Fenway. This afternoon, Oakland beat Texas 11-4. And another game of interest, Tampa Bay and the Angels starts in about an hour in Anaheim.
A lot of scoreboard watching this time of year. Makes for fun stuff, doesn't it?
Well, let's be honest. It's a lot better September than we thought it was going to be about a month ago.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Joe Girardi admitted yesterday. He said it's hard to miss the scoreboard. He said the lights are flashing. You look up there.
Cleveland just added another run.
In fact, it's a lot better September than you thought it was going to be after the Yankees got swept by the White Sox, which is still hard to believe because this White Sox team is seriously flawed. They don't play great defense, and they're in last place. They should not be sweeping the Yankees.
A couple of those games I thought the Yankees should have won. Remember the game they had to lead the 12th inning? Cano hit the home run. I think that was the last game of the 3-game series.
Mo blew a game in that series, I believe.
That
was the same
game. Yeah.
Three-two. Swing and a miss. Strong seventh inning for Sabathia as he retires the White Sox in order. At the end of 6.5 innings of play, it's time for the seventh inning stretch. Yankees lead the White Sox 5-1, but will stay right here to honor America in the Bronx.
Please rise and remove your caps. And please direct your attention to the area behind home plate as we welcome two honored guests of the New York Yankees. United States Army Major Dolly Harris, who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and United States Marine Corps Corporal Nicholas Soroldi, who served in Operation Desert Storm. The Yankees say thank you for your sacrifice and service to our nation. Now please, ladies and gentlemen, join in Kate Smith's rendition of God Bless America.
This is the game summary brought to you by your local Nissan dealer. 5-7-1 leading 1-3-1. Sabathia has gone 7, 3 hits. He's walked 4, but he's held the White Sox to 1 run. Cano 2 for 3, a home run in the first inning. He's driven in 2, and Gardner 2 for 4. He had a 2-run triple. Well, Robin Ventura goes to the bullpen, and the call to the bullpen is brought to you by AT NYA. And we see Daniel Webb.
And this is his season in the minor leagues. 78 strikeouts in 62 2/3 innings. I'm going to tell you, he's got a pretty good fastball. Allowed only 1 home run in 42 games. That guy went straight to the Hall of Fame. And Webb is making his major league debut.
3 major league debuts in this game for the White Sox. And he will face Derek Jeter. Breaking in with a brand name. So Larry Rothschild talking things over with Romine about how CC is pitched and the game that Romine's called. Cadillac scoreboard 5-1. The Yankees lead. So the Yankees hold on here. They will have taken 5 of the first 6 games of this very important 10-game homestand. And the game they lost was one that might haunt them if they fall just short. But in fairness, Kenny, people always talk about the games that you win that you should have, the games that you lost that you should have won. Well, you could look at last night and say, well, that's a game that you won that you should have lost. So maybe that made up for Sunday. But Sunday really does sting because it's a team that you're battling.
Yeah, you're battling, and you had a chance for a 3-game sweep. Webb has come out of the bullpen with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, and you can see the recent big innings, 5 in the 5th. That's Friday against Baltimore. Monday against the White Sox here, 8 in the 4th. 5 in the 8th last night. Tonight, 4 in the 4th.
And for much of the season, they weren't able to do that. They could not have those monster innings. The 2-2 check swing. Now we can say, well, they couldn't hit home runs. Well, a lot of these innings don't have home runs in it. They're stringing together hits. But the problem in the middle of the year, the depth was gone, and they just didn't have a long enough lineup, so you couldn't put together 5-6 hits out of 8 batters. Jeter works a leadoff walk here in the 7th.
Yeah, 97-mile-an-hour fastball from Webb.
All right, we told you about the Yankees and the Red Sox. Tomorrow's starting pitcher is brought to you by Verizon Fios, making life more entertaining with America's fastest, most reliable internet. That's powerful. So is that matchup. Jake Peavy against Ivan Nova. Our coverage begins at 6. BP show. Pre-game show at 6:30. First pitch at 7:07. David Cohn will join the 2 of us, and the 3 of us will work that series, and we're excited about it. Should be fun.
You know Coney's studying up right now.
Cano fouls it off.
He's all over Fangraphs, don't you think?
You would think.
Yeah.
Now, not only is it a big series because of the standings, what the Yankees are trying to do, but you also wonder, is there going to be a residual effect to what Dempster did to Rodriguez in the last game they faced each other at Fenway Park, or are the games too big that you just can't take care of that business? There's a base hit for Cano. Jeter scoots the 3rd, so the Yankees have runners on the corners with nobody out.
Yeah, Cano's 3rd hit of the night, a home run, 2 singles, made good use of the hole on the right side because of the leadoff walk to Jeter. And not only does he advance Jeter 90 feet, he advances him 180 feet. He moves all the way to 3rd with nobody out. That's what that hole is there for a left-handed hitter. You know, right-handed pitchers try and combat that by keeping the ball away and sinking it away. But something that was there that Cano could pull through the hole.
Now here's Soriano, 90 RBIs combined with the Cubs and the Yanks. '97 swung on a miss.
Now, I know that minor league stadiums have gotten improved greatly over the years. I mean, great entertainment for families down in the minor leagues, certainly here in the big leagues. But not only do stadiums improve, a lot of new stadiums in the minor leagues, the lighting has improved, but not quite to some big league standards in some of those stadiums. So when a guy throws 97 in the minor leagues, it's a little tougher to pick up than under the lights here in the Bronx or in every big league stadium. The best conditions are in the big time.
Missed 1 and 2.
And I can tell you for a fact, even the big league stadiums now are much better than the ones I used to play in a generation ago. They're much better. The fields are immaculate. You very rarely see a bad hop in the infield.
Still 1-2.
Another fastball at 97. Soriano late. Going to have to tune it up a notch with young Mr. Webb out there. Now, Soriano last year for the Cubs. I mean, the Cubs finished last year. They probably did.
Good guess.
Well, he had 32 home runs last year and drove in 108 runs. So he's basically doing what he did last year when you combine the numbers. Very productive player. Can 0-2 for that matter.
He's going to get another ribby. Viciedo makes the catch. Tagging is Jeter. The throw comes in the second. Sac fly for Soriano, and the Yankees now lead 6-1.
Mistaken, the Cubs didn't finish last year. Remember, the Astros were in the National League last year. Give Soriano another run batted in.
Looks like they're in a battle this year to finish last. They're a game behind Milwaukee. Right now they are in last place. So Webb's ERA, he's now got one. Line drive, double play. So the Yankees hit Webb hard and scored a run. One run, one hit, and because of this line drive double play, nobody left on base. Let's go to the 8th. Yes, is brought to you in part by Ford, the official truck of the New York Yankees. All right, so we go to the 8th inning. On the Hyundai scoreboard, Yankees 6 and the White Sox 1. CeCe is still in there, and he'll face Beckham, Ramirez, and Konerko. There's a strike. David Robertson throwing in the Yankee pen. The tonic for CeCe might have been the White Sox. 18-4, 3.63 against Chicago lifetime. He's thrown 101 pitches against the White Sox here, looking to pick up his 19th career victory against them.
How about the fact that he's into the 8th inning? He's now thrown, what, 102 pitches? He threw 40 of those in the first 2 innings. And then to be able, this is what I'm talking about with the younger pitchers, something like Johnson has to learn how to do. Start to settle down and get deep into a ball game.
Through the left side for base hit for Beckham, his second hit of the night. I'll lead off center. Count 1-0.
You see the numbers on Ramirez. He's 0 for 3 tonight, but he's had a good year. 283.
Chop to third. There's one on the first. Not in time.
Beckham put a little pressure on Cano. It's very rare that you see Cano on the ground trying to turn a double play. His footwork is quick, knows how to get out of the way of the oncoming runners. This ball was not hit very hard. That's why Beckham was able to get down and put pressure on Robinson Cano. Not that he touched him so much. Robbie kind of laid down. Not that Beckham took him out. Robbie just said, maybe I'll get my uniform a little dirty tonight. One second baseman to another.
That brings up Konerko. Some whispers in Chicago this could be it for him. He might retire. So this could be his final at bat at Yankee Stadium.
He's had some back issues this year that have plagued him. You know, not the offensive force he has been in the past. Just 10 homers, 46 ribbies.
Now, this is the end of his contract. But
too.
the word is, if he wants to come back, the owner of the White Sox, Jerry Reinsdorf, very loyal to some of his guys that have been there all the time, or for a long time. And if Konerko wants to come back, he will bring him back. Some scores that you want to know about. Cleveland 6-4 over Baltimore. You might have missed Boston with a 10-4 lead now over Detroit. 1-2 on the change. And look where Konerko ranks in the White Sox franchise. Second in games, third in hits, second in home runs, ribbies, third in doubles, fourth in runs. And home runs and ribbies, only Frank Thomas ahead of him. Also won a World Series with them.
Yep. Former #1 pick. But not of the Chicago White Sox. Dodgers picked him. He went to Cincinnati. And the White Sox got him for Mike Cameron.
I believe he was drafted as a catcher.
Yeah.
put up monster numbers in Albuquerque. If you could hit,
yeah,
you could hit even better in Albuquerque.
I've been through there. Yeah, you're right. Altitude. They had a ballpark where the gaps in the outfield were like 400 feet, and it didn't matter.
Base hit for Konerko.
I mean, guys were leaving regularly.
So first and second with one man out here in the 8th inning, and that's going to do it for CeCe. Well, certainly better than the last outing, where he lasted just 5 2/3. He picked up a win in that one. That was because of the Yankee offense, though. And he's going to get a nice hand from the stadium crowd. Kia Optima Limited Midsize Sedan Elegance Performance Technology. By Turkey Hill, the official ice cream of the New York Yankees. And by your Tri-Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2013 Pilot. All right, so the Yankees go to David Robertson, and I have to send out congratulatory wishes
to
one of those people in that press box, my good friend Dave Lennon, baseball columnist for Newsday.
Gotcha.
He just got engaged to Miriam, and they'll probably get married sometime next year. And Miriam's the biggest Yankee fan. So he sees himself on TV now.
He says, Michael, I'm going to get you, buddy.
But he waited a long time.
Congratulations.
But he said that I was his inspiration, that if I got married, that he could too.
That sealed the deal, didn't it? Well, he should be as happy as you then, okay?
I wish that for him.
All right.
David Robertson deals to Garcia, and there's a base hit to left field. Ramirez rounds third. He's coming home. Here's the throw. It's cut off by A-Rod. An RBI single by Garcia. And the Yankees now lead the White Sox 6-2.
Yeah, we mentioned Garcia. It might be a find for these White Sox for a number of years. A young outfielder. And he's driven in both runs for the White Sox tonight.
These are the numbers on Robertson. This is his 60th game. And he's put together another fine season. 68 strikeouts in 57 innings. Kind of interesting stuff yesterday, where Joe Girardi, I believe he told Ian O'Connor of ESPNNewYork.com that he was going to try to convince Mariano Rivera not to retire.
Good luck.
Now, if Mariano retires, unless the Yankees make a move, Robertson's probably going to be the closer. But Mariano, after the game yesterday, said, I don't know why you people are asking. I said, that's it. He said, I'm retiring.
Has Mariano always been a man of his word?
Yes.
I believe him.
And you know what a drag it would be to give back all the gifts?
You know, just in postage alone.
And I know what Joe's saying. He said, you want to make sure. He said, so I'm going to wait a month or two after the season. Because once you say that's it, it's usually that's it. 1-2. The 1-2 pitch. Nice block there by Romine.
Yeah, Romine makes a nice block of this pitch, but I can think back to when the Yankees were on the road in Toronto. Tony Pena had Romine out there early one day, just throwing balls and dirt in front of him, and he had to block them all to Tony's satisfaction. And it worked. Hey, wait a minute. There's something wrong with this picture. Where's the stash?
Wow. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Keppinger down on strikes.
You know, now there's yesterday. Last night and now tonight. Now I asked Tony what happened.
Well, now Tony's barking at an umpire.
Well, they're going to say the ball. Something happened with the pitch and Keppinger's still up there. And he foul tipped it. We'll take another look.
Wow. I don't think he tipped the ball.
Well, he said
he tipped it.
Yeah. And you can see the ball definitely hit the dirt.
Or did it? Or did it hit the end of the glove and then bounce it?
Well, Keppinger's still up there. To go to the whiteout.
2-2. Not yet.
Anyway, where we were, I asked Tony what happened. I said he looks 10 years younger.
Right.
He says, wow, thank you. And then he says, it happened by accident. You know, sometimes you shave and you mess up your mustache. So he had to shave it all off.
Wow, what an accident.
Maybe he was doing it without a mirror. Who knows?
The 2-2. Still 2-2. Yankees up by 4, first and second, 1 out. Popped up. Ichiro calls off Cano.
Sam will have to use the whiteout.
Well, you could turn a K into a 9.
Nah, I don't like to be sloppy like that.
Well, 2 away. And that brings up Fizaedo. He's 0 for 3 tonight.
Viciedo earlier in the year was an everyday player. Now he's just kind of a platooning. But he started the night with a 9-game hitting streak. He's 0 for 3 right now. He came in 14 for his last 34, which works out to 382.
There's a strike.
Good hook from David Robertson. That is his signature pitch. go along with a very good fastball.
Nice scoop there by Romine. Two. Runners were going with 2 outs and the ball fouled away. Konerko will go from second. Garcia from first. 2 outs. 3-2. Bases loaded. That brings the tying run up to the plate. And this is the only thing, Kenny, that they worry about when it comes to Robertson possibly closing next year. He throws too many pitches when he comes in.
And which means that would erase the opportunity maybe sometimes to pitch 2 or 3 days in a row.
Here's Josh Phegley. Oh, 0-1. Could see 4 home runs. Phegley has some power, so you have to be careful. The 0-1. Late on that, fouled it away. 0-2.
Yeah, and you think of Mariano all the years, how efficient he's been. He's kept his pitch counts down. In fact, Mo's getting up. And I think back to the day in spring training when Mo, it was a couple of years ago, made his first appearance, and we asked him, how many pitches were to throw today? He said 12. And he struck out the side on 12 pitches.
And there's a base hit to center field. That is going to score 2. And now it's getting very interesting as the White Sox have cut it to 6-4.
Well, Phegley's hit the ball hard 3 times tonight, and this time he delivers a base hit and scores 2 more runs. One of those runs charged to CC Sabathia, the other one to David Robertson. And Larry Rothschild's going out to the mound to slow things down here at the top of the 8th inning. Curveball that kind of rolled up there, didn't have that kind of sharp break that we're usually seeing from Robertson. And there's the base hit from Phegley. So Robertson's come on, walked the batter, and given up 2 hits. Phegley, good break coverage, gets out to the outside corner and gets a base hit.
Well, the Yankees probably thinking they're home free, and now all of a sudden a nail biter. Tying runs are on base. And the youngster in his first big league game, Marcus Semien, at the plate. And he gets a base hit. Viciedo will round third. He's coming home. It's an RBI single for Semien. Now the Yankees lead is 6-5.
And you wonder if Mo's had enough time here to warm up. They've already been out there once to slow things down. And you're wondering if Joe Girardi wants him to have a 4-out save. Here he comes.
So a real poor outing for David Robertson, a rare one for him. Well, this is the second trip, so they're definitely going to Mo. and a rare 4-out save they're going to ask him to get. Robertson jogs off. Mo comes in. Tying runs at second.
Man who's thinking about retiring, and just telling him my feelings on it. It's not me lobbying for him to come back, because as I've said all along, I would never want a player to come back if he didn't want to come back. So sometimes the story can get a little bit, but I'll just talk to him because I want to make sure that his heart's right when he decides it's time.
That's Joe Girardi talking yesterday about what he meant, that he was going to talk to Mariano Rivera. And the young lady to Joe's right is Joe's oldest daughter, Serena, who was sitting there during the press conference. So Mo's not thinking about retiring right now. All he's thinking about is retiring De Aza for the final out of the 8th inning. Last time Mo had a 4-out save, July 24th, 2011 against Oakland. '55th game. Picked up his 40th save last night. Tying runs at second base. Yankees 6, White Sox 5. Strike on the outside corner, 0-1.
Piazza has never had that bat against Mariano Rivera. As long as Piazza's been in the league a few years here.
1-2.
Well, this was a comfortable game until this inning.
First and second, 2 outs. Many in the crowd of 36,082 standing.
It's like they can sense this is the inning where the game needs to be saved.
Two and two. 3-2. And that gives the White Sox a bit of an advantage as the runners will be going. Granderson very shallow left field. Gardner shallow in left center. Runners go. 3-2. Strike 3. De Aza down looking. And you can see Tim Welke say, oh, yes, that was a strike. Well, you decide. Rivera dealt the full count pitch. Was it low? Take a look at this angle. Nope, right at the kneecaps. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Yankees leading by 1. Hey, to vote for the Chevy part of the game, visit votechevy.com. Results will be revealed in the post-game show. Let's take a look at that last pitch, Kenny.
It was close. Mariano gets the call. His ability to throw pitches either on the corner or just off. And there's the call, strike 3. Tim Welke about to ring De Aza up, and we can see it. I'll tell you what, if it got the corner, it was just a seam.
In terms of it being low.
Yeah, it wasn't low, but it was just a hint. It got a hint of the outside corner. And then the reaction from the dugout from CC, Andy Pettit, and David Robertson. There you go. You got to go to Mo.
And you got to go home for 3 more outs. Yankees could use another run. Hyundai scoreboard 6-5. David Percy on in relief. And then he deals to A-Rod a strike. Now that sac fly by Soriano in the 7th inning was like a tack on. That's the difference in the game. Too many walks for Percy. For Soriano, his 91st rookie of the year.
Percy threw 2 scoreless innings in the opening game of the series. On Monday afternoon here at the stadium, Labor Day.
A-Rod down, swing, 1 away.
Percy, who formerly pitched for the Blue Jays, as we look at the Yankee pen. Phil Hughes is up. Percy had 3 strikeouts in 2 innings, just 1 hit.
Now, if you just joined us, why is Phil Hughes warming? Well, he was taken out of the rotation. Huff is going to start on Saturday against the Red Sox, and Phil is now in the bullpen. Ichiro chops one to Beckham, who just gets him for the second out. Well, if you're looking ahead to the ninth inning, it'll be Beckham, Ramirez, and Konerko.
Here's the play by Beckham. Overhands it just in time to get Ichiro hustling down the line. Anytime Ichiro hits one that softly, you know it's going to be a close play at first base.
Here's Overbay. The Yankees a 2-1 lead with an RBI double in the fourth. They have not trailed since that point. The Yankees had a 4-run fourth to break a 1-1 tie. And then they added that run in the seventh, giving them a 6-1 lead. But the White Sox came back with 4 in the eighth. That's where we are right now. 6-5 Yanks. Count 0-2. And that's a strong inning for Percy. Also means that Mo didn't have to sit on the bench that long. So we go to the ninth inning, and Mariano will try to get the final 3 outs and nail down this sweep. Miss the WB Mason postgame as Bob Lorenz and Jack Curry update the playoff picture all around baseball. Plus, Meredith Morakovitz gets the reaction from the clubhouse. And also, you'll hear Joe Girardi's manager's report. It's the WB Mason postgame. It's only on Yes. Well, one that looked nice and easy is now wearing on the nerves as the Yankees go to the ninth inning holding a 1-run lead, and they'll have to face 2, 3, and 4 in the White Sox order, starting with Gordon Beckham as Mo got the final out of the 8th inning, striking out De Aza looking with the tying run at second. First and second, 2 outs. And there's a strike to Beckham.
And Beckham's been a tough out tonight. He's been on base 3 times. A couple of hits and a walk. Quickly
0-2.
Well, in honor of Coney, he's going to be in the booth tomorrow. When you get ahead 0-2 now, you can really start to work the hitter over.
Nova will be on the mound tomorrow. First game of the Red Sox series. Against Jake Peavy. The 0-2. Fly ball. Center field. Gardner for the first out. Here's Alexi Ramirez. 0 for 4, but scored a run. Reached on a fielder's choice. Right back to Mo. 1 out to go. Good numbers against Mo. Digs in. White Sox down to their final out. Best fastball, velocity-wise, of the night, but inside. Goes inside again. Doesn't want to leave anything out over the plate. Count 2-0.
A lot of experience here. Not so much in the on-deck circle with Garcia, but Konerko and Mariano Rivera.
Tips the outside corner for a strike. Line drive, ball game's over. Rivera restores order, and the Yankees sweep the White Sox, winning this one by a score of 6-5. So Mo gets his first 4-out save since July 24th, 2011, and the Yankees sweep the White Sox.
Here's the line drive off the bat of Konerko. Alex Rodriguez on the line, guarding against a 2-base hit. Comes up with it cleanly. And the Yankees do have their sweep against the Chicago White Sox. And there's the reaction from the people in the Great Hall as the out is made. And now they turn and head for home.
Well, you have to stick around for the postgame show to find out who's today's Chevy player of the game. So it got a little sweaty in the 8th, but Mo cooled everything down, including the White Sox bats. We'll come back, we'll give an award out, and get you set up for the postgame.